Hello, today I'm here with William Blake's The Book of Thel. The Book of Thel, compared to William Blake's longer poems, is of medium, let's say, length. It's not too short or too long, but at the same time, it can introduce us to William Blake's worlds of innocence and experience. Innocence and experience are two key terms in Blake's poetry. The world of innocence refers to the world of children, the world of the Garden of Eden, we can say. It is the equal of that world in William Blake's form of mythology. Uh, and in it, things are more colorful, and let's say far beyond or with a great distance from what is the world of experience or the world of the adults. The world of experience is the worlds of the measures, the weights, everything which is countable, everything which can be proven by experience, or in a better sense, as kind of a hell compared with the world of the innocence. So it is, if the world of the innocence is the equivalent of the Garden of Eden, it is the earth. With its qualifications, with its ways of living. So we have the worlds of the innocence and experience, and the Book of Zen shows us the journey from the world of innocence to the world of experience and the journey back. Cell is the main character of the story, and this is a narrative poem indeed. And we're going to see what is happening to Cell, how she experiences the world of innocence, how she goes to the world of experience, and if she turns back to the world of innocence. The poem can be considered as covering the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth as well, or a poem in which we can consider innocence as the equivalent of virginity, and then the world of experience as a lack or loss of virginity in the world of William Blake's poetry. William Blake, well, as you see, I emphasize, had a world of itself, of himself. He believed that a poet is either so skillful to produce or to design a world of his own, or he has to be enslaved by another person. So he tried to use his own mythology. His mythology is a combination of different forms of secular mythologies like Greek mythology and the Christian mythology. So some aspects of Christianity and the stories of the Bible, and some aspects of the classical mythology can be found in William Blake's world, but all of them are individualized or internalized in his conception of those worlds. So everything is kind of his a part of his creativity. So let's go to the poem. William Blake, alongside being a poet, was also a painter. He was maybe the most famous student of Sir Joshua Reynolds. Sir Joshua Reynolds was a renowned figure, painting figure in in the new classical England. But William Blake rebelled against his master and became a master on his own by introducing his maybe unreal versions of painting. He tried to paint his world, and the Book of Thel is produced in 8 plates. So these are the plates. There were engravings or there were paintings. Both of them were available at the time. So we see a book of Thel, the character of Thel, and some other characters of the story. Let's see what is happening. And about the name of Thel, the name of Thel is not meaningful in itself. We have to understand its meaning in the context of the poem, or it is, as we can read here, William Blake's invention, and its meaning is just implied and inferred as we take it from the text of the story. So it's a proper name, but we are not certain about the meaning of the name. And the poem has a motto. It starts with a motto or introductory section, which reads as, "Does the eagle know what is in the pit? Or wilt thou go ask the mole? Can wisdom be put in a silver rod? Or love in a golden bowl?" These are some questions. Let us see what are the meaning of these questions. Does the eagle know what is in the pit? Refers to the eagles flying very high. So the eagle is always in the skies, and he cannot know about the world in the underground. And if we want to know what's up in the world, in the pet, we can say, we have to ask the mole. So the world has its own divisions and its own sections, and we have to consider these categories or classifications. And then the second part of this motto comes, which is a complementary aspect or part for the second for the first part, or its explanation. William Blake asks these questions to actually ask two more questions, which are more significant. Can wisdom be put in a silver rod? Silver rod is a kind of a metal, a bar, a straight bar like a sword, or love in a golden bowl. The significance of the two words, the rod and the bowl, is that they are references to two important Christian symbols, um, the Grail and the sword, and but by the division in Christianity, the sword is the sign of masculinity, and the bow or the grail is the sign of femininity. So if we have to if we want to ask a question about wisdom and knowledge and logic, we have to go to the male aspect, or to the patriarchy, or the masculine. And if we want to ask questions about love or emotional aspects, we have to go to the woman. By the way, maybe William Blake is here asking questions, or questioning actually this Christian belief, but by putting actually these statements in form of a question, and he is somehow let's say underscoring these Christian beliefs, as well of questioning them, whether it is true to consider such a division of labor or not. Anyway, the point and the connection of this motto and the text of the poem is that Sally is actually living in the world of the experience, in the world of the innocence, and in order for her to know the world of mortality and to experience mortality, she has to go to the world of experience. So one more thing we learn about the worlds of the innocence and experience is that in the world of innocence, everything is immortal, while in the world of experience, things are constantly changing and mortal. And this is the plate in which we have the motto of the poem. So the story begins here. This is the first part of the story. The daughters of Mount, most probably the seraphim, they, instead of M and E here, maybe it's a misspelling or a typo anyway, led round their sunny flocks, all but the youngest. She in the paleness sought the sacred air, to fade away like morning beauty from her mortal day. Down by the river of Adona, her soft voice is heard. The river Adona is most probably a reference to Milton's Paradise Lost, in which this river is associated with rituals of fertility and of death and rebirth. So we have to this cycle in mind. Down by the river Adona, her soft voice is heard, and thus her gentle lamentation falls like morning dew. And this is the plate, the starting plate, the Book of Thel, and the other daughters or angels in the Mount Seraphim. And here, as it is put within the quotation marks, we can hear the voice of Thel, the main character of the story. O life of this our spring, why fades the lotus of the water? Why fade these children of the spring, born but to smile and fall? Here she's asking about the mortality or fatality of things, why things actually perish or disappear. Cell is like a watery bow, and she compares herself to a watery bow. Let's say, very intricate bow or bark of a tree or a flower, and like a parting cloud. And then she compares herself to a parting cloud, and like a parting cloud, like a reflection in a glass, like shadows in the water, like dreams of infants, like a smile upon an infant's face, like the dove's voice, like transient day, like music in the air. She's thinking about this, that if I go to the world of experience, if I go and live on earth, then I will become mortal. And then what is the use of being mortal? You pass away, that like what Shakespeare asks in his Macbeth, that life is but a walking shadow that struts and frets its hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. So she's thinking about this, that what is the use of it, why I should go on earth, why I should live and then disappear from it. Gentle may I lay me down, and gentle rest my head, and gentle sleep the sleep of death, and gentle hear the voice of him that walketh in the garden in the evening time. So I would go there, I would die, and then they would bury me, and under the ground I would hear the sound of the feet of God. So what is the use of it? I would not do anything in that case. And as she's invoking the watery bow, a real watery bow is going to reply her back. The lily of the valley. She's a watery bow. The lily of the valley, breathing in the humble grass, answered the lovely maiden, said, I'm a watery weed, and I am very small, and love to dwell in lowly vales. So weak, the gilded butterfly scarce perches on my head. So this watery bough uh, is so small, so fragile, and so near to fatality and mortality. And we all have heard the expression the lily of the day. So the lily lives for a day, and it is extremely, let's say, mortal. And she's trying to tell Ethel that this is not so bad. And one more point here is that we hear the voice of the elements from nature, and the elements from the air, the elements from the soil. So have this in mind, the element of water, all of them are kind of present in this poem, and we have the significance of nature in romantic poetry as a source of inspiration. Nature is also lively and alive in romantic poetry. As you can see here, a dialogue is established between an element of nature and a character, at least a human or a potential human character. Yet I'm visited from heaven, still the flower is talking, yet I'm visited from heaven. And he that smiles on all walks in the valley, and each morn over me spreads his hand, saying, Rejoice, thou humble grass, thou newborn lily flower, thou gentle maid of silent valleys and of modest brooks. For thou shalt be clothed in light and fed with morning manna, till summer's heat melts thee beside the fountains, and the springs to flourish in eternal vales. Then why should thou complain? The flower tells Thel that it is not so bad. I experience the hand of God, I experience a kind of eternal power, and that is enough for me. And we have Thel's answer. Why should the mistress of the Veil of Har utter a sigh? The Veils of Har is that section in which she's living. So these are the veils of God. She ceased and smiled in tears, then sat down in her silver shrine. So the flower stops. Thel answered. O thou little virgin of the peaceful valley, giving to those that cannot crave, the voiceless, the overtired, thy breath doth nourish the innocent lamb. He smells thy milky garments. He crops thy flowers while thou sittest smiling on his face, wiping as mild and meek in mouth from all contagious stains. So Sally is telling the flower, no, that's not so. This is not all. You're also doing something. You're useful. Thy vine does purify the golden honey. Thy perfume, which thou dost scatter on every little blade of grass that springs, revives the milked and tames the fire-breathing steed. Steed means a horse, but Thel is like a faint cloud kindled at the rising sun. I vanish from my peerly throne, and who shall find my place? So she says you are doing something, or you continue your living in other beings. But what about me? I'm like a cloud which is disappearing. When it rains, it finishes. Queen of the Vales, the lily answered. Ask the tender cloud, and it shall tell thee why it glitters in the morning sky, and why it scatters its bright beauty through the humid air. Descend, O little cloud, and hover before the eyes of Thel. So, as the flower's reply is not satisfactory to Thel, another element of nature, the cloud here, with another aspect of the four elements of water, water actually comes in, or liquid comes to Thel. So this is the talk of Cell and the lily of the valley. And we have most probably the image of God here with white, pure innocence. And the cloud comes. The cloud descended, and the lily bowed her modest head and went to mind her numerous charge among the verdant grass. Verdant means the green of the countryside. So we have now the conversation of the cloud and sail. O little cloud, the virgin said, I charge thee, tell to me why thou complainest not when in 1 hour thou fade away. Then we shall seek thee, but not find. Ah, sail is like to thee. I pass away, yet I complain, and no one hears my voice. The cloud then shewed his golden head, and his bright form emerged hovering and glittering on the air before the face of Thel. This is the split of the poem. You can see still the image of the lily, and maybe the image of the cloud. O Virgin, knowest thou not our steeds drink the golden springs, where Luva doth renew his horses? The cloud's reply is a decisive one and a definitive one. He says, I may not be in the form of a cloud, but I'm transforming into something else, to water, to springs. So Luva, the god of love, would water his horses by the water which is coming from me, to which I am transformed, or or experience that metamorphosis. So this is not me disappearing. I turn into something else. Lookest thou on my youth, and fearest thou because I vanish, and am seen no more? Nothing remains? O maid, I tell thee, when I pass away, it is to tenfold life, to love, to peace, and raptures holy. Unseen descending, weigh my light wings upon balmy flowers, and court the air I do, to take me to her shining tent. The weeping virgin trembling kneels before the risen sun, till we arise, linked in a golden band, and never part, but walk united, bearing food to all our tender flowers. So, the cloud is talking about that cycle of life, or the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, and changing into another form. And let me here note about the romantic journey, or the romantic image of the unity of life. They think that we are always in search of integrity, so we try to unify with our real self, or the real spirit from which we are descended or stemmed. Here We have the same idea. The cloud is never disappearing, it is changing to something else, but it is still part of the unity of being. It is never fading away or vanishing. Dost thou, O little cloud, I fear that I'm not like thee. So Sel starts her comparisons here again, and she thinks that she's not part of that cycle. She cannot transform into something else. For I walk through the vales of Har and smell the sweetest flowers, but I feed not the little flowers. I hear the warbling birds, but I feed not the warbling birds. They fly and seek their food, but Sel delights in these no more. Because I fade away, and all shall say, without a use, this shining woman lived, or did she only live to be at death, the food of worms? So she says again, there is no other life for me. There is not an afterlife expected for me. I'm going to die and I would become the food of worms. And this statement actually invites another figure into the story, the worm. The cloud reclined upon his airy throne and answered thus: Then if thou art the food of worms, thou virgin of the skies, how great thy use, how great thy blessing! Everything that lives not alone, nor for self. We are reading about the unity of being. Fear not, and I will call the weak worm from its lowly bed, and thou shalt hear its voice. Come forth, worm of the silent valley, to thy pensive queen. Pensive means sad. The helpless worm arose and sat upon the lily's leaf, and the bright cloud sailed on to find his partner in the vale. Then Thel astonished viewed the worm upon his dewy bed. So art thou a worm, image of weakness? Art thou but a worm? I see thee like an infant wrapped in the lily's leaf. Oh, weep not, little voice. Thou canst not speak, but thou canst weep. Is this a worm? I see thee lay helpless and naked, weeping and none to answer, none to cherish thee, but mother's smiles. And as soon as Sel says this, the other figure is in the story, the worm's mother. And let's see who is the worm's mother. Here we see Sel, the cloud, and she talking to the worm. The clod of clay heard the worm's voice, and clay is her or his mother, and raised her pitying head. She bowed over the weeping infant, and her life exhaled in milky fondness. Then on Sel she fixed her humble eyes, and we see the element of soil here. O beauty of the vales of Har, we live not for ourselves. Thou seest me, the meanest thing, the soil under other people's feet, and so I am indeed. My bosom of itself is cold, like the bosom of soil, and of itself is dark. But he made, I know not, and I cannot know, I Pan that loves the lowly, pours his oil upon my head, and kisses me, and binds his nuptial bands around my breast. This might have been his, and it may be another original typo in the story. This earth is the bosom friend of God, and so we have the unity of nature and the heaven, the paradise, or the Garden of Eden, and earth, and kisses me and binds his nuptial bands around my breast and says, Thou mother of children, of my children, I have loved thee, and I have given thee a crown that no one can take away. But how this is, sweet dear, and I cannot ponder, yet live and love. So Even the earth, which we cannot even consider, is the mother of nature, and she's the mate of God. We have cell, earth, and the worm here alongside the lily, and we can have the shining cloud in the background, all of the characters of the story. The daughter of beauty wiped her pitying tears with her white veil and said, "Alas, I knew not this, and therefore did I weep, that God would love a worm. I knew, and punish the evil foot that wilful bruise its helpless form." So she has an epiphany here. She sees under her feet and she respects it. But that he cherished it with milk and oil I never knew. And therefore did I weep, and I complain in the mild air, because I fade away. And lay me down in thy cold bed, and leave me my shining lot. So she now sees or understands that she's not going to be mortal, and she would continue in the cycle of life. She would turn back to nature. "Queen of the Vales," the matron clay answered, "I heard thy sighs, and all thy moans flew o'er my roof, but I have culled them down. Wilt thou, O Queen, enter my house? Now that I have helped you, would you come to me? Would you accept earthly life? It's given thee to enter and return for nothing. Enter thy virgin feet." So she has given this permission, that to go and see the life in the world of experience, and if she wouldn't like it, she can turn back. This is not an experience everyone can have, but that is going to experience this. And you see, once again, there is an emphasis over her virginity, and as soon as she would come into the world of experience, she would also lose her virginity. So we have such a metaphor, such an extended metaphor all throughout the poem. And then um she enters the world, so she can experience the world of experience. The eternal gate's terrific porter lifted the northern bar. Thel entered in and saw the secrets of the land unknown. She saw the couches of the dead, and where the fibrous roots of every heart on earth, and fixes deep its restless twist. So she experiences mortality. She sees death, a land of sorrows and of tears, where never smile was seen. And this is death and its carriage here. And Phil is also entering it alongside the clay and his child, the worm. She wandered in the land of clouds through valleys dark, listening dollars and lamentations, waiting oft beside a dewy grave. She stood in silence, listening to the voices of the ground, till to her own grave plot she came. And there she sat down, and heard this voice of sorrow breathed from the hollow pit. She's facing with her own death. And then she talks about mortality, why I should be mortal, why I should experience all these, why cannot the ear be close to its own destruction, or the glistening eye to the poison of a smile. And you see, we have different senses, the five senses are mingling here. Why our eyelids, and these are worldly experiences. So as mortal beings, we humans are dependent on our five senses. And now, in the world of the experience, she's talking about them. Why are eyelids stored with arrows ready drawn? Where 1,000 fighting men in ambush lie? An eye of gifts and graces, showering fruits and coined gold? Why a tongue, impressed with honey from every wind? Why an ear, a whirlpool fierce to draw creation's end? Why a nostril, wide and hailing terror, trembling in affright. Why a tender curb upon the youthful burning boy? Why a little curtain of flesh on the bed of our desire? While flesh is worldly, desire is something abstract, and it seems that our desires are actually covered, so we cannot access them. There is a curtain between us and our desires. While in the world of innocence, the desires are all kind of fulfilled. So Sel asks this question. It seems that she is not satisfied with what she sees or she can see in the world of mortality and death. The Virgin started from her seat, with a shriek fled back unhindered, till she came into the vales of horror. Sel is actually a human being, decides never to be born. Uh, this is kind of tantalizing. What would happen if we in the other world had never chosen to come into this world, if we accept this kind of structure of the worlds of living as they are introduced in William Blake's poetry? So she remains a virgin, meaning that she never experiences mortality and she comes back and she never wants to be alive in the sense we are alive. So, in this way, the reading of the poem The Book of Thel by William Blake ends, and I hope you have enjoyed this presentation.